Hey guys, welcome to the entirely optional PD preview of Introduction to HTML. You do not need to do this to attend our Build a Creative Coding Portfolio professional development, but if you are someone who gets really nervous engaging with new content or you just want to see some of the things we'll be doing beforehand, this video is for you. We're going to be working on a website called Replit. There's a link to this exact code in your email. You may need to make an account. The main Replit page looks like this, and you can sign up here. It is completely free. We'll be using this with the PD, and it's also a great, really powerful website to use with your students. Once you have an account and you are on this page, which is the file I've created for you, you guys, it'll look a little different than mine, but you should see a little button up at the top that says Fork. I believe if you also click into the name, there will be an option to fork a project somewhere. I can't find it right there because this is my original, so it looks a little different. But once you have forked it, that is essentially making a copy for you that you can edit and you can work into separate from mine. Once you have a forked copy, my best suggestion for you is to set up your computer screen so you have two windows side by side, one with this code that you'll be working into and one with the video so that you can watch and listen while you code. Feel free to pause and take breaks whenever you want, and please don't get stressed. My view of HTML is a little skewed because I very much grew up in the generation where any website we had, MySpace, LiveJournal, even Neopets, we were working in HTML as like 12-year-olds. And that's not to say HTML is easy, but HTML is very forgiving, and there's a lot of resources online available to you to look up different things about how HTML works. You'll notice at the top of this code, there's actually a link to a W3 Schools page. I'm going to recommend you open that in a new tab because we will be referencing this documentation. Like with so much coding, I don't recommend you try and memorize anything. Just worry about figuring out what you want, and then we will learn how to get really good at using our resources and Googling to find all the information we need. Now, for those of us who are new to things, let's go ahead and hit run. And let's take a look at both our code and what's being spit out here. If I look at what's being spit out, it's just like a lot of gook. It's like one giant paragraph. It's Times New Roman, black font on white page. It's a little boring and maybe a little stressful to look at because it's just a lot of stuff. But if I look at the actual code, I see that I have stuff happening that looks codey, and I have stuff happening that matches the text over here, but it's like split up more nicely in my code editor. We might be wondering why it looks so different, the output to what I put in. And that's because I haven't really added any HTML here. HTML is all this stuff that you're seeing, all of these, they're called tags that exist between these triangle brackets. And HTML decides what the body of our website looks like. It's like building a skeleton for our page. So the first thing we'll notice is that there's an HTML tag that tells the computer everything it's about to read is a document written in HTML. There's an opening tag, which is one that looks like this. It has no slashes in it, that says HTML. And if we scroll all the way down, we'll see a closing HTML tag. We know it's closing because of this slash mark. And then we also see this head tag, which opens on line 7 and closes on line 12 and has a bunch of information. And then a body tag that opens on line 14 and closes on line 36. Now the head tag, that's usually information about our website. It's stuff the website needs to run, it's information that we're giving to the browser, and the body tag is like where our main content is going. So some things in the head tag, we don't need to know what they all mean, but it's stuff that's defining like what character set the website should be using, how it should be viewed. It's linking to a CSS style sheet, which we'll talk more about later. And on line 10, it's giving a title to the page. Some of us might be wondering what that title is. If we actually pop this window out in a new tab, my window is cut off, but you should see in the tab it says Replit, the same way that it says Replit right here. This title controls what shows up in your tab. So if I wanted to change what shows up as the title of my website in my tabbed browsing, I might write my first website here. And then when I open my page in a new tab, it's going to be titled My First Website. Now let's go into the actual body and let's figure out what we need to do and start using our resources to navigate how to add HTML to this. So the first thing I see is something that says, "Welcome to my first site." And I might be thinking, wouldn't it be really cool if all of that was like a heading, like it was big, it was bold, it looked impressive. And if I go to that W3 Schools link at the top of the page, we'll see if we keep scrolling down that one of the first things it tells me are headings. And it tells me that headings use H1 to H6. H1 is like the most important, it's really big, and H6 is the least important, so it's pretty small, and it gives me examples of how to use that. So if I wanted to use H1 before my heading, I would put this opening tag, and after my heading, I would put this closing tag. So let's go ahead and practice. I'm going to write in H1, before my welcome page, and you'll see that Replit tries to help me. I don't want it to help me, so I'm just going to delete that. After it, I'm going to close my H1 tag, and again, Replit's going to try and help me. You can turn off the help, or you can set the help over here. Code intelligence is enabled. I'm going to go ahead and disable it just so it doesn't mess me up. Once I have that H1, if I hit run again, we're going to notice right away that our page got a lot different. Now, welcome to my first site is big, and there's like a line break separating it from everything else. And the thing that did that was that H1 tag. Now, if we wanted to experiment, we could drop in like an H3 and hit play. And now we see that it's still there. There's still the line break, but it's a lot smaller. So I'm going to go ahead and change that back to H1. And then I'm going to take a look at the rest of my code, and I'm going to figure out what I need to do. So one thing I might want to have happen is I might want to be able to separate these in paragraph form. And again, if I go back to my HTML basics, the next thing it tells me is there are p tags that will allow me to separate paragraphs. And again, that's the p tag bracket p bracket at the beginning, and then bracket slash p bracket at the end. So let me try and split this into a paragraph. I'm going to add my p tag, and again, it's still trying to help me. I'm not sure why. I'm just going to delete that and go to the end and add my slash p. Oh, that help was actually really useful. I'm now going to hit play, and I now see that this paragraph has been split from the rest of the page, which is super, super useful to me. I could also decide maybe I want this to be a few different paragraphs, so I could add a few different p tags. So maybe I want this to be a paragraph, and I want this to be a heading. So I'm going to make this an H3 heading. And we can look at our output to see how this is changing my web page. So now I have like a subheading, and then I have a paragraph underneath it. HTML, again, super user-friendly. You're not going to break anything. If something isn't going to work, it's just not going to work. What I'm going to recommend for you guys to get more familiar with this is just to take a peek through W3 Schools. The basics page is linked, so you can scroll through here. You're also welcome to look down the side for anything that may seem interesting to you. And just try and add and change as much as possible to this page until you feel comfortable. So there's a list at the bottom of things you can try and do, like changing all the different heading sizes, maybe trying to add links or images. And if you're feeling super fancy, try and add a list of items, which involves nesting tags. It can be a little tricky. Don't be afraid to Google. Don't be afraid to reach out for help. Remember, this is just like a preview of what we'll be doing in class together. I hope it helps. Bye.